Hello and welcome back everybody, Formula 1 today, and with an explanation and the news. The explanation is this episode is the second one in the sequence dedicated to Formula 1 Challenge Valerio Bertolotti VB edition. You are going to see on screen the €1 donation I did for completing the 1950 previous season. But we are not going to continue with 51, 52, etc. just because I wanted to continue in a sort of technological way, logical way, that is mainly what I have anticipated last time with the first episode. So taking back with Grand Prix 2, that is not working anymore luckily on my computer, the Gulf seasons, grid under licensed fights. But I did like the idea of having the possibility to run as a world champion, and from this is We Are the Champions, the name not only of the song of the British band Queen, but also of this particular theme. And so the 1950 was the first era for Formula 1 with fat cigars and front-mounted engines. The second era can be said that started from 1959, this one, where the old, let's say, fat cigars started to become slim cigars, but especially the engine was mounted behind the shoulders of each driver, at least of each driver driving a mid-rear engine mounted machine, like was the case for the Cooper Climax that clinched the World Drivers' title with Jack Brabham in 1959. This second episode starts with this new era, then we will move to the 60s, the 70s, etc. Like I've divided and split back then when I started the Gulf seasons, luckily without the possibility to go on anymore nowadays. And so this one will be the second era. We will drive Jack Brabham on a full 10 races 1959 season, and we will do it basically using the championship function that Formula 1 Challenge has. In the meantime, this is the news. A friend of us that I've already mentioned in the previous video related to the WEC, the WEC 2015 season, I have started a few days ago. In this case, I would like to create a poll, the third one in a row, so you can vote also for IndyCar and for GT Legends, because Diego Ruiz, that is a friend that we all have on YouTube luckily, did message me saying, when you race just at 10% race length, yes, maybe in 2 hours you can combine all the races, but maybe this is a game that having I add myself, the easy engine can handle longer races, and maybe you can divide a single season into multiple episodes. That was not, let's say, the original idea. So because I find very interesting and very challenging and very exciting also the idea to stretch races longer and not having 2 hours with 10 races and that's it, I'm not deciding for everybody. I will put out after this episode a new poll, so you have 2 seasons of 7 and this one with 10 races at least demonstrated in 2 hours, whatever. You can vote, and in a democratic way, because this channel anyway is for all of us, we can decide together if we will continue with short 10% race lengths or we will increase up to 20-25%, and accordingly we can also take advantage of what is the fuel usage and tire wear, because so far I have used what was +7, I don't remember. Anyway, there were some issues doing pit stops, so I did the 10%, I'm sure. Maybe it was 7 times the usage, maybe yes. So we can do it as well also for this season. That's it. I would say we can go on with the old method, if you like, already used in the first episode, the 1950. See how it goes this one, and then we will decide together what to do. Okay? So remember please to like and subscribe if you like. You would be very kind and I would appreciate the possibility to grow together with you. But also, if you like on the community page of iKeysRacing, there is also the poll for IndyCar, the poll for GT Legends, and this third one. I don't want to stress you with polls, but I do really like your ideas, thoughts, etc. So I'm curious to say at the end, okay, you voted for this instead of that. Also because I'm just the guy behind the camera, I'm more than happy to build together with you this channel as much as you like. Because there was also, anyway, another comment, and sorry for forgetting the name of the user that did the first comment on the previous episode, that said, nice the fact that you play so quickly each season. There is also a sort of community on the web for who plays quicker than others a complete season with certain parameters, etc. And so, you know, did wanted to find out the soft spot, if you like, if just to understand if the suggestion of Diego Ruiz, sorry for my pronunciation, me bad, it is the right direction, or if the other comment already fulfilled by a community online is the right one to choose. Anyway, this will be the car setup, or the game setup, to be fair, the game setup for today. We will then maybe leave the poll here and there, maybe there will happen another season, I don't know, and then we will decide what to do, okay? I go straight to the championship and see you on track. And thank you, anyway, for watching videos, making likes, subscribing, commenting. Feel free to do like if this one was your channel, because it is so. It is free. I hope it will be forever free unless YouTube and Google will change anything on the rules of YouTube. So we can build it together, and I'm more than happy to go on with the maximum support from your side. Will be absolutely a beautiful community. It's already beautiful for everything you did so far, commenting, likes, etc. Why not building up a more and more beautiful community? Okay, see you on track. First Grand Prix, that will be the first of 10 races in Monaco, Montecarlo. The original report of this race says it was a pole position for Sterling Moss with the Cooper Climax, so the teammate of Jack Brabham that we are going to race today and for the rest of the quick season. Jack Brabham did the fastest lap and then won the race ahead of Tony Brooks with Ferrari and Maurice Trintignant with the other Cooper Climax. So what to say, we will try to replicate, because racing as Jack Brabham in some way forces me to win, regardless of my will. And sorry for the green hoodie, using chroma key was not the right decision, but I was thinking, oh wow, I'm using a Cooper Climax, so I will be green, English British green, like the original national color for British teams, and instead using the chroma key. This is the effect, sorry, I apologize. We can skip practice 1, practice 2 and practice 3 and 4, leave the qualification to I've not seen who. Anyway, Phil Hill, yes, so Phil Hill, Ferrari, Tony Brooks, Ferrari, Henry Schell, Joe Bonnier with the Owen Racing Organization, Cliff Ellison, Ferrari, Ines Ireland, Lotus, Bera, Ferrari, Graham Hill, Lotus, Roy Salvadori, High Efficiency Motors. Let's go to the starting race. I will use a Cooper Climax already prepared car setup. 9 laps to do, so we will load a bit more, a bit less. Let's say 12 laps, 90 liters, 13 laps. That's it. Soft tires not changeable, exactly. Fine. And so we can go on track. Okay, cockpit. First gear sequential, luckily the H pattern is not working today within the game yet with the thrustmaster set at we are touched, but we will leave the others fight for the first hairpin, the gasometer, gasometer, I don't know in French which is the right pronunciation. They are killing themselves, sorry. Let's try to stay far from troubles. Okay. And Filippi, the first woman to race in Formula 1. 23 out of 26 with 9 laps to go, covered for 13. It will be quite a challenge to score points today because I'm not competitive in Monaco, despite originally the Cooper Climax won. The Monaco Grand Prix. Clutch. Instead the car goes away with a bit of understeer and you go very wide. Don't touch the curbs. Roy Salvadori may be retired. Another bug is the low level of the engine sound, luckily. Catch Wolfgang von Trips. Clutch. P15, some retirements, some crashes, whatever. Zandvoort maybe will pass von Trips, yes. Massenet, uphill, then left for the casino. Here. Then down to Lowe's, Montecarlo. Von Trips internally, crashes again. You can see also sprint car. Midget, don't remember the name, it was an American type of car. Yes, P15 confirmed so far. Again, and you release very slowly, and then you can accelerate in some way. The car is very agile, very light, very tiny. Let's try to close, yes, the racing line to von Trips. So originally when this car arrived was absolutely a shock. A tiny car, underpowered car, was capable to beat Ferraris, Maseratis, etc. Taylor retired. Lucien Bianchi. Also, but was overlapped. We have to arrive at least P5 today to score some points, at least 2. Back then just the top 5 got points, and there was also an additional point for the quickest lap on race day. Some other retirement. seconds to Halford. Halford spun, so we are P7 now. Oops, almost touched. Now back to P8. I don't understand the way to count the positions, but who cares? P5 now. No, oops. No. Okay, if I don't screw, the race will be a P5 because 40 seconds to, sorry I'm not reading, but cornering to test out will be almost impossible to catch. And as said, unluckily I'm not competitive here, the AI is absolutely on another planet. Must keep far from trips as much as possible when the tires will have their cliff. And was really almost a shock, the arrival of the Cooper Climax with the rear mounted engine, because even Enzo Ferrari back then said if you have a trailer you don't put your horses or your cows behind the trailer, you put them in front of the trailer. So why an engine should stay in the back instead of at the front? And then luckily the history told something different. We have Scarlatti in front, but maybe has retired because it has no time. Top left corner. Let's see. P2. Two retirements in front. 3 laps to go. Almost 2. And so the new era was about slim cigars from a shape point of view instead of fat cigars. Cars very liked. Small engines. And many garagists, as Enzo Ferrari used to call them, British and not only British teams, small teams, capable to build racing cars very quick, very fast. And Lotus maybe was the best example in the 60s. Choosing then to have a powerful enough engine, but mainly light cars, very agile, very drivable and reliable for sure. And despite being almost overlapped by Testat, almost missed the braking zone, like 9 of 9, I will not cover almost the full lap paying compared to the leader that maybe finished now the race. Yes, checkered flag, so I have just to bring the car to the final corner. Tires are giving up. At least the front trips is 13 seconds far, so I can drive relatively relaxed. Last jump, last corner, and luckily second place in Montecarlo. Originally Jack Brabham won this race, so for sure I have to improve, but not bad. Okay, car menu with Andrea Testat with the Montecarlo Autosport team. I don't remember which car he was driving, as Jack Brabham with the Cooper. Fun trips: Maria Teresa De Filippis Porsches, Henry Schell, Owen Racing Organization. The first top 5 will score 8, 6, 4, 3, 2 points. So we have to go up in the classification. That's it. And this is for constructors, even if, as you can see, there are official works team and privateers. Some of them are privateers. Indianapolis, race that was part of the Formula One World Champion until 1960 included, but at the end it was dropped because in the mid-50s here and there were European drivers, European Formula One teams to participate in the championship, in the Indianapolis race, but was the only race to be done in America, in US, with a lot of costs to go there and to come back, a lot of time lost, and so Formula One as a world championship until 1960 kept Indianapolis. Many American drivers were recorded as winners, runners up, scoring points for the Formula One championship, but they were not coming to Europe to dispute, to participate entirely into the F1 WEC. So at the end, that was the trade-off, I would say. We can skip practice. Yes, qualifying. Tony Brooks on pole position, Phil Hill, Joe Bonnier. Originally, instead, the Indy 500 was raced just by American drivers. So we can go to the race. We can load the car setup I've prepared before. That will cover us for 34 laps instead of 19. So we can maybe go down to 100 maybe liters. Well, no, 19 laps. Let's say 115. Let's say 120 to be sure. 125. I don't know how much will consume this car. Okay. Ready? Again, as before. First gear, then we will run in fourth forever. Let's leave them go. A bit of jumps. Very nice, I like it. Here instead we will be much more competitive. Don't ask me why, but the level of artificial intelligence, like in 1950 season, is very, let's say, under the minimum level. So as soon as you pass all the others, you can simply go flat out. The car doesn't to slow down dramatically while cornering. So P8, let's try to stay in the pack of the leaders. Jump. Another jump here. This is the brick yard, literally a yard made of bricks. That's the name for who is very young and doesn't know the history of this magic racetrack, oval track. I will shut up because it will be very easy to race here, and it will be just a matter of going flat out until the end and hopefully recover the other contenders. And score some points. So we'll cut a bit of the video and we will save a bit of seconds, if not minutes. I like the director with the green flag almost jumping and falling from his race stand position. P7 now, 9 laps to go, so half of the race gone. There was Phil Hill retiring. I'm not succeeding on getting and catching Flockhart, so I'm still continuing to turn left the steering wheel slightly, flat out, paying attention to overlapped cars, but today, let's say, I do not have a so competitive car and car setup to score points, I fear, unless some other driver will retire in front of me. I go back to sleep. See you with the cut in a couple of seconds. Where instead there is Flockhart killing himself, so P6 luckily. Jean Berrat in front, but I don't think I have the speed to pass him. He's fighting with Lovely. It is an overlapped car, I think. Let's try to squeeze a bit of slipstream and draft. Tony Brooks 4 seconds far. Lovely with the Lotus, maybe will let me through. Yes. Two points currently. Joe Bonnier first, Harry Schell second. P4 now because third is Tony Brooks and Allison retired. I don't understand. Tony Brooks on our left. I'm keeping a central line because the AI tends to do silly things. So back to P5. Let's try to use the overlapped cars that will slow also the leaders, that they are not so aggressive. So back to P4. 4 seconds from Tony Brooks, that is reducing now speed, maybe 2 seconds, 0.5. 6 laps to go. Yes, he's struggling to pass a bunch of cars. Let's try to stay away from troubles. P3. Second from Harry Schell. But they are quicker. Look at the gap, 1.9, 2 seconds, 2.1, 0.3, 0.4. So unless I find another group of overlapped cars in 5 laps, I will never catch them. And Tony Brooks behind, 1.5 second, is regaining. So if I do want to arrive on the podium, it will be a fight. Here we are, Tony Brooks, 3 tenths, 2, 1, 4 laps to go, back to P4, and without the speed to battle rightly a Ferrari that was absolutely more and more powerful than the Cooper Climax, considering also that the Cooper Climax, for what I remember, did not race at Indianapolis. Harry Schell slow, for what? We don't know. P3, back on the podium. The victory is gone. 2 seconds from Brooks and the slipstream does not work. So that's it. If Harry Schell will not recover in 3 laps, I hope not. We will be on the podium at least. And given that I'm not so competitive, despite driving the car that clinched the driver's title together with Jack Brabham, I must always arrive within points, possibly. White smoke, someone else retiring maybe. And Harry Schell has arrived. Tenths. Von Trips retiring and putting a lot of oil and whatever on track. Brooks, yes, because we are 8 seconds far from Joe Bonnier, and now we had 6 seconds and half almost on Jean Berat, currently 3rd. Second place today would be magic, given the type of car, very agile but underpowered compared to Maseratis and Ferraris. 2 laps to go. Bonnier increasing the gap with me, the advantage with me. So Bonnier, Ases, Jack Brabham, Jean Berat, Harry Schell 4th. Let's see the 5th. So the classification is gone. I'm covering it, unluckily, with steering wheel and hands, sorry. But I can, but I read it as soon as I see it. Last lap, white flag. Even if they continue to stand still with the green one. Joe Bonnier is losing a bit, 7.5, but maybe for overlapped cars. He's completing now the race, yes. So Joe Bonnier first, Ases Jack Brabham second. Yes. Then is not indicated who is the second. Anyway, congratulations to Joe Bonnier for the win at the Indy 500. We can maybe press escape, or it will be automatic, I don't know. Oh, okay. So another second placement, good, very good. So Owen Racing Organization was running a van wall, I don't remember. Cooper, sorry, let me find out. A BRM, sorry, Owen Racing Organization was running a BRM P25 with Harry Schell, Joe Bonnier, the Swede, and Ron Flockhart. Good to know, sorry, it is a learning curve also for myself. So let's go ahead. So currently we are leading the championship of drivers, 12 points, 8 Bonnier de Stad, the two winners of Indy 500 and Monaco respectively, Jean Berat, Wolfgang von Trips, Schell, Maria-Teresa De Filippi, Roy Salvadori. Let's go ahead, we are leading also the constructor standings, and here we are going in Netherlands for the Zandvoort Circuit Park, back like it was in the 50s, and let's see, I don't remember absolutely the racetrack, so I will start blind and then we'll follow the group to learn at least a bit the track, but unluckily I do not remember the old version. So we can jump, practice, 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 qualifying. Okay, pole position for Tony Brooks, Phil Hill, Ferrari, Joe Bonnier, Ireland, Schell, Berat, Salvadori, Ellison, Flockhart, Jan Burgess. I think we can load the Montecarlo 59 car setup and save it directly as Netherlands. Zandvoort race will be 7 laps, so we can go down and load something less, let's say 10 laps. Okay, let's say 60 liters. Save. Yes. First gear, let's go. Some crashes immediately. I will never get the Thompson corner flat out, believe me. Everybody's crashing here. P4, P3, P2. Okay, just Jean Berat survived, but now I don't know where the track is going. Everybody killed themselves. If Buell will pass me, I swear I do not remember where the track goes. Just played with GP2 in a different manner. Is maybe this one the last corner? No. Maybe this is okay. I don't know how much I will resist without remembering where the corners are. P3, P1. I love it. There is or some bug or some problem with aggressivity, because aggression, sorry. They kill themselves. I need only to survive, because it will be or a win or a podium if I do not screw up everything. Yes, the steering wheel is already a bit not straight anymore, because I did a stupid thing here. I don't need to do, just be calm and cautious. Avoid the symmetry of, thank you to Lucien Bianchi. The car now is completely unstraight. How do you say the contrary of straight? I don't know, I don't remember. And maybe if I cut the start-finish line now, I will be the winner anyway, because after Lucien Bianchi I do not see anybody passing the French driver, if I'm right that he was French, and was the grand uncle of Jules Bianchi, don't remember. Maybe it was from Belgium, Lucien. Me bad. I read a lot and then I forget what I read. So it has been a demolition derby. Very nice, very simulated, very unlucky. At least this car setup can be used also on driven tracks. Yes, so because maybe we are anyway winning, but I want to finish the race, I shut up so I can cut the timing of this video. And sorry, because Lucien Bianchi at this point I remember maybe has a passport from Belgium and was the uncle of Jules Bianchi. It won't be wrong, but the more I think, the more I remember this fact. So happy to virtually have Monsieur Bianchi on the podium. With me, us. One lap to go. And so after two placements on the second position of the podium, Jack Brabham in this virtual season wins Grand Prix of Netherlands, the Dutch Grand Prix, and so we can go on very well in the classification. Oh, well, if we survive this carnage, there's something wrong for sure in the AI, and then you remain trapped there. Okay, luckily we have won. Second, Lucien Bianchi. Font Trips, third. Bueb, fourth. Lovely. Pete Lovely, fifth. Let's go ahead. So 20 points for us. Bonnier Testat 8th, not score points here, as well as Berain Font Trips, yes. Shell De Filippis, no. Salvadori, no. Constructor, Cooper, 20 points, 11. Owen Racing Organization running the BRM. Montecarlo Autosport, Porsche, Ferrari, High Efficiency Motors. Reims, my beloved Reims. I want to win here. And maybe will be needed given the long straights, maybe the Indianapolis setup will be better here, or maybe Zandvoort. I don't know. The top speed was very similar, was just a matter of the car arrives to 200 kilometers per hour. I don't know. Let's try the tentative with what is the Zandvoort car setup. Copied and paste also here. I do love this racetrack, absolutely. Okay, let's skip practice. Qualification. Tony Brooks on pole, warm up with rain, race with. Perfect. It will be just wet, not wet, sorry, so dry. 4 laps. We load for the double because it is a race completely flat out almost. Never tried the track with this 59 car, but should be enough to follow the others. It's impossible to win here with fights of pure power. How they are quick, cornering here, unreal. Mirage de Poison, if I'm not wrong. Anyway, P4, P3, P2, just Carlata in the front, really. All killed again. So let's bring home also this one. Crazy. Anyway, sometimes I wonder how could have been back in the 50s and the 60s. Be a driver or be in the world of motorsport. Really heroic periods. Really. Cars were made manually, without carbon fiberglass. It was all metal, rubber. Fuel was prone to get easily flames, even when you didn't want them. Crazy. Safety was a guess more than anything else. Prices were high, for sure. It was almost a lifestyle being a driver, more than a job. But really not an easy affair. This was the period of the first years of the jet set. People that in the 50s could afford expensive tickets to try the de Havilland Comet in the 50s and fly from London to Rome in 2 hours and a half, compared to turboprops engines that required 4 to 5 hours to do the same trip. What a magic period. I don't know, if I had to choose, I would be someone born I would say maybe in the 40s, to live this period as a driver, for sure. And maybe, I don't know, being a young driver in the 50s, between 50s and 60s, maybe would have stretched the career also into the 70s and maybe the 80s, in the Group C era. And I think it has been the best period, not only for living as a human person, but especially for a driver, affording I don't know, all the quick change of technologies before the arrival of the computers. And so maybe if you were born in the 40s and at the end of the 50s you were doing the job of a professional race driver, in the 80s you would have been a good 40-50 years old racer driving the turbo era, Formula 1 or prototypes or whatever. I would have preferred prototype, as you know. And then before the arrival of computers and silly technological things, you could have retired maybe. I don't know. I agree a lot with Jake of GP Labs that anyway the best period for motor racing is this one. Unless you got killed this one was the best period ever. In my opinion, my humble opinion. IMHO. Anyway, Reims, last lap, 27 seconds over Scarlatti, with probably maybe many contenders, direct contenders, retiring in the first corner. They have arrived quick like a missile. And what a surprise to see a tiny Cooper climax in the lead of the French Grand Prix. It was the most paid, from a price point of view, Grand Prix of the season. And prior to the Grand Prix of France, the French Grand Prix, there was the 12 hours of Sebring that I have proposed last year with my Around the World in 24 hours. Specific Grand Tourers race that used to start at midnight on Sunday to finish 12 p.m. on Sunday, and then few hours later there was the French Grand Prix of Formula 1. I think one of the few races of endurance of 6, 12, 24 hours, starting in the dark at midnight and finishing with daylight. A format that I like very much, and I'm sorry that is not used anymore nowadays. Anyway, last corner for Jack Brabham, that in a couple of meters or yards will clinch the second victory in a row and the fourth placement in a row for the Cooper climax and for himself. Reinforcing also the driver's title. Good, another win. Scarlatti Ugolini Scuderia, Halford, lovely, Font Trips, the drivers scoring points. So we have, wow, as iKeysRacing, Jack Brabham, 28 points. He could retire 3 times in a row and be still in the possible fight for the championship. A bit less easier for Cooper. Aintree, another track that I don't know. So let's go to discover it. So just reading that the pole position for the Zandvoort, I forgot to say, was of Joe Bonnier. Sterling Moss fastest lap, but Joe Bonnier was the winner. Second Jack Brabham, and Mustang Gregory arrived third. In France at Reims, Tony Brooks pole position, fastest lap Sterling Moss. On the podium Tony Brooks Ferrari, Phil Hill Ferrari, and Jack Brabham third. Tony Brooks led all of the 50 laps available back then. At Aintree instead at Aintree we had Jack Brabham on pole position, Sterling Moss fastest lap, equal with Bruce McLaren. Sterling Moss 1:57.0 lap 69, the same Bruce McLaren 6 laps later. The podium was Brabham, Moss, McLaren, and Jack Brabham led all the 75 laps. So I would skip all the practice. I do not remember the track, but I will follow the others. Tony Brooks on pole, Phil Hill, Bonnier, Shell Ireland, the top 5. Let's go to load the France Reims 59, load and save it on 59 Aintree. Good. Let's go to race. It will be 7 laps. So yes, I would keep 9 laps with 100 liters. I do remember more or less the shape of the track, but not the cornering speed and the gear to use. Let's try to follow the others. We have a lot of advantage in classification. Reims. Oh, first mistake of the leader of the championship. So in 7 laps, all to be done from scratch. Understandable from this point of view, at least for my mind, for what I remember. This one, guys, very beautiful. We'll recover a bit of position because of many crashes and touches. So we have this first part, I would say, a bit slower compared to the others. Here I did a previous mistake. And now I don't remember where the track goes. Nice, this corner starting wide and closing then. P11, but I'm not regaining over Davis. And I don't remember if this is the section with similar chicanes or what they were back then. What a beautiful track, with also the, how to call it, the grandstand. Wow, very modern, I would say, for the 59, and maybe was present also before the 59. I don't even know if it is still there or not. Also Salvadori, good. P5, luckily, with a bit of help from the universe. Lap 4, 3 to go. Who knows if the first corner can be approached full throttle. Almost, just lifting a bit, but here you have to brake. Second gear mandatory. Maybe I should slide more. Yes, there are two corners to be taken, maybe almost full, but decelerating while the radius closes. Nice. And I do love very much the next section with this almost fake chicane. What a lonely race. I will not catch Jean Berat, but no problem. Let's try to improve my knowledge of this racetrack that will come back for sure in some other season. Yes, are all corners maybe to better approach with an understeering car, because you arrive quick, they close, and you have maybe more fortune if you approach them with a front end that slides a bit. Losing the front end instead of the rear end. Last but one, and I think I will stop to record after 5 races, and the next episode will be with the remaining 5 races, because I fear we are already close to 2 hours of recording, more or less, and despite the tentative to cut dead zones of the video where nothing is happening. It becomes too long. Phil Hill reappeared, I don't know from where, but if I'm lucky enough in the last lap I have the opportunity to pass the 4th and the 3rd. Instead, I screw the race. Idiot. Marco, idiot. Without my mistake, we would have been in the condition to possibly catch Bera and Phil Hill. Yes, for a tiny, silly mistake, I've lost the opportunity to catch them in the last lap. Okay. It's anyway an arrival within points, so Harry Schell, Tony Brooks, Phil Hill, Jean Bera. I may be wrong, but the first three cars are Ferraris. Brooks for sure, Phil Hill for sure, Jean Bera the same. Wow. Harry Schell with the BRM. Second, Tony Brooks, Ferrari, yes. Good, wow, Ferrari, what a race. Okay, finished 5th, we gained 2 points, but we are still in the lead with 5 races to go, correct? With 4 races to go. Germany, Portugal, Italy, USA. So there will be 24 points available, 8 points per victory 4 times. So I need 5 points to be sure to be the world champion finally. Not bad, but because after 6 races I keep the consideration after the season, if you don't mind, I will split this season into 2 episodes, this one and the next one with 4 races and the final conclusion, if we can say so. So guys, thank you very much. It's not a long see you later alligator because it will come very soon, but I can keep things like this. Thank you for watching. I will publish anyway both episodes like I did with the World Touring Championship for PlayStation, and that's it. So feel free to switch to jump to the next episode. See you there. Ciao. Bye bye. Thank you.